Welcome to You Are Not Alone. This is a safe place to explore all things spiritual and beyond. I am spiritual medium Erika Gabriel. Hello, friends. Welcome back to You Are Not Alone. How are we? How are we doing? Are we okay? I've been thinking about you guys so much. I've never ever gotten more DMs about the podcast, which is so cool because it motivates me to keep going so much. You have no idea. So thank you so much for your kind messages and for tuning in. So I have a guest today, and I'm just warning you, it's a man. Okay, it's a man. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking, when was the last time I had a man on the show? And it's not by design. It just kind of happens that way. And I was introduced to my guest, and just, as you know, I tune in with the person, I connect in with them and kind of vibe out with my guides and decide if I feel like this is someone that is aligned with the podcast. And sometimes they're not, and it's nothing negative. It's just a feeling. And when I saw Kurtis and listened to him and tuned into what he was doing and looked at some of his things, I was like, I am so lucky to have him on the show. And I'm so grateful to have him come on the show and so excited to share him with you all. His name is Kurtis Lee Thomas. He's a best-selling author. He's the founder of Work Detox. Breathwork has changed his life, and now he's spread that and changed many other people's lives. And you'll see, check out his handle. On his handle, he says he is helping starseeds navigate their spiritual awakening one breath at a time. Is that cool? I love it. Hi, Kurtis. Thank you so much for coming on You Are Not Alone. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. It's great. So let me just start this off. So I'm like, I wake up this morning and I'm like, okay, I'm interviewing Kurtis. This is so exciting. I always get butterflies before I interview someone. Number one, I get butterflies because I am so bad at technology. I've been doing this podcast. It's going on 6.5 years. Every time I go to log into shit, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fuck it up. I'm so nervous. So that starts it. And then the second thing is there's so much, and you have so much to share. And I want to make sure that what comes out today will serve the highest number of people. So I have faith in that. And then I went and started looking at your handle and look at your stories. And I'm like, oh, here on his stories, just a subtle, I climbed to Everest base camp. What is that? You went to Everest? Is that what just happened? What is going on here?
Yeah, so I actually went to Everest twice. There's a Nepal side and then the Tibet, China side. And the second time I didn't plan on going. I just bought this package trip and that was in there. And I was like, oh no. And I had to do it again in order to get the package. So I was like, I cannot believe I'm going to, I don't like the cold. I don't like wearing a jacket. And it was ridiculously frigid. It was, I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but it's one of those things you cross off your bucket list. And I think it was super cool. It was an experience. We had to have experiences. So.
That's amazing. I love that was just subtly just dropped on your stories. Hey, here's me at Everest. Here's me at Everest. That's amazing. And well, that shows the type of person you are and how you're moving through the world. And that's really beautiful. So let me ask you this also. What are starseeds?
We're going deep fast, huh?
It's a spiritual podcast. Who cares about the surface? Our surface was you going to Everest.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, touche. Yeah, so starseeds are humans incarnate who don't originate from this planet, maybe not even this solar system. Could come from another quadrant of the galaxy, right? And these souls decided to incarnate on Earth during this time, and not for fun, not just for school and learning, although soul's evolution is the number one priority of why we do what we do. But then also there was a call that went out into the universe because Earth was in trouble. Right? There's a lot of crazy things happening on the planet, and these starseeds decided to volunteer to be here. They didn't have to be here. It was a volunteer mission. And so they came here each with their own mission and purpose to light the way, to lead the way, to turn certain industries on their ear, whether it's medical, religion, or whatever it may be. And that's for that person to know. And yeah, I just always felt like Earth was not my home. It was my mission. And that's what a starseed is.
So you feel this way.
Absolutely.
So what is your mission?
I'm doing it now. We'll figure out the end of the podcast.
Yeah, spreading this message, probably having your daughter, right? Probably having the experience you had that came to breathwork. Obviously, you're here to spread a message. How did you come to breathwork? How did this all start for you?
Yeah, I started the spiritual journey, you could say, around 2011. Had all these crazy, wild things happen that turned my world upside down. But breathwork specifically, I was struggling with a stomach condition where doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. They couldn't diagnose me, never mind fix me. And it was maddening because it was 5 years of going to, I can't even count how many specialists and doctors I went to, and GI and colonoscopy, endoscopy, swallowing pill cameras, like everything. And then even got pretty desperate and ventured to plant medicine and did that several times. And then it wasn't until I found this one ancient breathing technique. And I did this technique in a session, about a half-hour session. And in one session, it completely eradicated my stomach condition. And I couldn't believe like all the things that I've done. I was already a certified life coach, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, sports science fitness professional, Reiki master, like literally collecting certifications and pieces of paper. And I couldn't heal myself, couldn't fix myself. And I went to all these crazy doctors and even gurus and went all over the world. And it was just one breathing technique, something so simple, something we all can do. Didn't have to leave my house, didn't have to go to the temples in, India or Egypt or top of Everest. It was literally with me all along. And this one session completely eradicated it, and it blew my mind. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around how the heck that was even possible. And then I realized, the reason why these doctors couldn't, fix me, diagnose me is because my issue wasn't physical. Right? It was energetic. It was emotional. They don't have solutions for that, right? They just give you the pills and they mask it, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. And then once I realized what it did for me and all the things that I did that didn't work, I was like, man, I'm all in. I got to share this with the world.
What was the technique?
So
everyone's asking that. They're like, what was it?
Yeah.
Tell us.
So it's a deep diaphragmatic breathing technique that's done in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Now, 99.9% of the time, you should be breathing through your nose. You shouldn't be breathing through your mouth. But you cannot achieve what we achieve breathing through your nose. It's only done through the mouth. So I took that technique and added all my other skill sets and modalities into, one vehicle, and coined it breathwork detox, which is the most powerful breathing technique on the planet. It's extremely somatic, cathartic, and it's pretty wild what can happen during a session just by breathing. Like, people have no idea.
That's wild. Okay, so two things came to mind. Do you mouth tape before you go to sleep?
I do, but I don't do it every night. Sometimes I run out of tape. Sometimes I forget. So it's not one of those things I'm super consistent with. But I probably do it. Yeah, I probably do it 4 to 5 times out of the week.
Have you ever experienced maybe teaching people, because you do big teaching events, correct? Or events where you're kind of teaching what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. So I kind of switched my energy to mainly working with either corporate or training people, like teaching them everything that I've learned, over the past almost 2 decades, so they can go out. So I certify them to teach the breathwork detox modality. So we do trainings every 3 months, live in person and virtual as well.
That's so cool. You guys got to get that. Okay. So question, and I know other people are like this. When I start focusing on my breath, I become anxious. Like I'm like, ooh, like then I'm in my head about breathing, and I'm like, am I breathing right? My breathing feels weird. Like, is that normal? Is that the first layer that you have to go through to then cool your nervous system and utilize the full breath? Like, is that common? Do you see that?
I mean, I think everything's connected to everything else, right? Nothing's separate. So it's not necessarily the breath work. It's more of coming to say, okay, I'm going to focus on one thing, right? And that's when that kind of ADD kicks in, because all meditation is you're focusing on one thing, right? One mantra, one color, one shape, one thing, just the breath, right? That is kind of like trying to put out all the noise and then focus. And then, of course, everyone believes like, am I doing this right? I think I'm doing this wrong. Like, that's just, everybody shares that, It's more so being conscious and aware, right? That's why they call it conscious breathing. But the technique that I teach, actually, it doesn't even affect that, because it's not meditative breathing like most people think. So this is the issue that people have, is that you look at the stats right now of everybody who's suffering from, I call some form of SAD, acronym for stress, anxiety, depression. And the world is stressed out. Everybody's stressed out. There's more stress now than ever before. And if you try to get somebody who's already stressed out to sit down, sit still, and don't think a thought for the next 20 minutes, they're going to get more stressed out. And that's the barrier to entry with meditation, right? It's quite difficult. So with the breathwork detox technique, we're not trying to take the chaotic, thoughts like the sea and calm it to a still pond. We're taking the chaotic thoughts and doing something active to push it out. So you don't have to focus. You don't have to relax. You just need to lay down and breathe this technique. And that's the beauty of it. That's why people love it.
That's so awesome. I do a lot of visualization meditations, because again, it's active, right? So it's not just like, don't say anything, just sit still, which is very triggering for people when they're like, oh, I've tried meditation, I can't do it, right? That's really interesting. So do you do this every day? Do you have your own routine that you do? How do you incorporate this into your life without doing, a bigger session?
So I'd say for somebody who's completely new to this, so we do deep sessions, and then we do like maintenance, short sessions. If you're doing the deep diaphragmatic, like what we're talking about today, for the first time, do it with an instructor, right? Just don't go on YouTube and try to figure it out. Do it with an instructor. Now, you could do it in person with someone locally. You can do it virtually, or, either one of those hybrid models. And then for me, the deep sessions, it's not like yoga meditation. You don't need to do it every single day. That's how powerful it is, right? So a deep session you could do once every 2 weeks. And then my maintenance one is every single day in the morning. I'll do it for 12 to 15 minutes. And that's my maintenance. But the deeper sessions are usually like 28 to 32 minutes of continuous circular breathing.
When you had like your stomach issues, do you feel like the breath work techniques that you learned released, like, do you believe your stomach issues were trauma that you experienced that were suppressed, that you shoved down to your stomach, and that the breath work released some of that?
100%. Yeah. Actually, how I found breath work was actually through, I had a Taoist tummy massager. She only works in the belly, as she's a masseuse, and it's called CNT. And she was working on my belly, and she says, oh my God, she's like, your wind gate is blocked. Right at the time, I had no idea what a wind gate was.
Yeah, what the hell's a wind gate?
Yeah.
Like, help us.
So
help us. Tell us, Kurtis.
Like, other people call it like the dantian, but it's the area right behind your belly button, right? So look at your belly button. That's your wind gate, where new energy comes in and old energy exits. So she's like, that's blocked. She's like, so no new energy is coming in. All the energy that's in there is kind of stuck and stagnant. You should try deep diaphragmatic breath work. And I tried it, and that was it for me, and the search ended there for that particular issue. I'm still, learning and fine tuning the modality and opening to discovering different ones, but that was it. It was like Eureka.
Can you sing?
Sing?
Like, are you a good singer?
Oh, hell no. Horrible.
What?
Horrible. And it's
wow. Because singing is really all the breath. That's why I'm asking. Like, working with the diaphragm and like
with the diaphragm.
All of the breath.
But I'll say this, people don't understand. Like, even when I'll talk to people and they're like, oh my God, you must be the best breather. You do this. I'm like, no, I was the worst breather. The worst. I wasn't breathing properly. And I was doing paradoxical breathing. I was breathing up here. At times, I actually remember catching myself holding my breath, clenching my fist, right? So I was the worst breather. And when I was able to find this technique and remove all those blockages, right, that was causing those things, it allowed me to function again. It allowed me to get on podcasts, right? It allowed me to think clearer because there's a gut-brain connection. It allowed me to be more creative. Like, it totally put me back online. Like, I felt me again. And that's what I love, and if, getting a platinum recording, artist, being, getting a platinum hit was a side effect, that'd be great, but I don't think that's my mission or my purpose. Although I think I sing great in the shower, but no one's listening, right?
So do I. Oh my God, it's the best place to sing. And I'm like, oh my God, my musical theater roots are just coming back.
Yeah.
You know what's so interesting too? You're talking about your stomach and then gut brain, right? So you have so much of your like connection and your power in your stomach and your gut. When I see, like, when I'm doing readings and I see a ton of yellow in people, like the yellow color, it's that whole area right around the belly, which is what you're talking about. And it has so many implications and it's always unique to that person. But when I see someone working in that yellow, they're asking the question, who am I and how do I fit into this world? And it's so interesting that like you were stuck there or blocked, to use that woman's word, and then you released it and had this realization that I know how I fit into this world. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm a starseed, so I don't quite fit in, but it's okay. I'm supposed to be here. It was like such a connection to your life's purpose, releasing that.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't really know, like, for one, I say sometimes it's not the weight of the baggage, it's how you carry it. And the problem with that is we've learned to carry it so well. And, you got to be a strong mother, you got to be a strong father, a boss, a leader, whatever it is. You have to show up for some people. And, it's tough. So you don't realize what you're even carrying until you release it. And that's the irony behind it. And it's quite liberating when you go through this process. Even if you don't think you had a bad childhood, you don't think you have stress, you don't think you have trauma, the mind and the body are very intelligent and strategic, and they'll bury things so you can continue moving on because it knows you're not ready to do that work. Or maybe you're at a younger age and you didn't have the emotional intelligence to process those emotions, so they get stored in the body. And that's the thing, like, the mind always wants to look into the future. The body, the soul wants to stay present, but the body holds on to the past. So the body is a living library of all of our human experiences, right? This is why they say the body keeps score, why the issues are in the tissues. And when you do this technique, it helps like dislodge anything energetically that's stuck in the body emotionally. And it's, back in the day, they called it body washing to wash the emotions. And it's just an amazing tool. And it's like, it just blew my mind how we weren't taught this, nobody knew about this. And I had all these, pieces of paper of all these courses I did. And still, like, something as simple as breathing just still blows my mind.
Right. Well, it's interesting too, because like you had to be ready for that as well. Like you have to come to these things like with a willingness and an openness as well, which is really cool. It's so funny you say that, like, breathe. That's like, there you go. Obviously, there's a technique and all of that, but like things can be simplified. And you're like, they don't teach this. I always feel like in school, like, why don't they teach us how to do our taxes or how to balance a checkbook? You know what I mean? Or like anything that's like something that is like you're going to need in the world. Same thing when we get like a body temple. It's like we should be taught how to breathe, because I read we like literally use 10% of our lung capacity.
So let me ask you a question. You asked that question. So let me ask you this. Do you think that, like you said, why don't they teach us this and this and that?
Yeah.
Do you think they do that on purpose, or is it an accident or coincidence?
I think that our education system, which first of all, I have a lot of freaking teachers on here and my kids are in school. These are the most amazing, like, I don't know how they do what they do, and they're amazing. This is not saying teachers are doing anything wrong. I think part of our education system, it was formulated at a time, right? But we're changing and we're growing. And I feel like those things have to change and grow as well. Like, my son got a 3D print. So my son is super into business. He's 12 years old. He loves business. He wants to learn about business. He got a 3D printer for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, both. And he started making them and then going to school to sell. He went in school, he's selling these, fidget spinners that he's making. And he's learning all about like discounts and marketing. He got his little sister, my daughter, to do some marketing in the 5th grade. He's in 7th. Like, he's doing it, right? And getting money. And he's gotten in trouble. He got in trouble for running a business last year. And now he's gotten in trouble twice for doing this business this year. And we're like, keep going. We don't give a fuck. We're not mad at all. We're like, that's amazing. You should be learning business in school. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do. Point being, like, I think that there's so much opportunity to learn things that are going to serve us. And a lot of what they're learning does serve them. But same thing when you get a body temple, right? You're talking about not being taught how to ground, how to use your breath, how to do simple, doesn't mean it's easy, but how to do simple things to cool chaos as we're in the most chaotic time in our human history. So I'm relating to what you're saying in other areas of our life as well. So what do you think? I'll pose the question to you. Do you think that's on purpose?
I see what you did there. Trying to play it safe. Well, first of all,
no, it's not safe at all. The answer was the way that the education system was set up was in a completely different paradigm. I don't think there's an evil person sitting there like, let's fuck these kids up. I really don't. I think our society is like, there's a big brother. They're doing this. They're doing that. It's like, do you know how disorganized shit? You think that they're that organized, that they're just trying to mess with us like that? Things are chaotic. You need to find what works for you.
Well, first of all, my mom was a teacher for 20 years. And she ran the guidance department. And my stepdad was a principal. So shout out to all the teachers as well.
That's what I did too. The teacher, I'm looking at them as magical when I sit and hear them talk about my son. I'm like, I don't know who you are. You're a starseed teacher because you're amazing at teaching these kids. So I think that's amazing that you came from teachers.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I have a similar story. I was selling jewelry in elementary school and I was selling these like, they were like Super Bowl rings, but they were like the replicas. And I had every team and I was selling to all the kids. And then I got called into the principal's office and I got reprimanded and they called my mom. And because I had a big wad of cash in this jewelry. So they called my mom and then she came down and she's like, what's the problem? And he explains to her. And then she's like, so what's the problem? He can't sell. We're like, oh, well, he can't just do it on school property. And she's like, all right, don't do it on school property. Is that it? Is that why I had to come here? And then she leaves. Exactly. And then the principal's like dumbfounded, like trying to like question his own decision. And then literally I was grabbing my stuff, like she's like, give him his stuff back. I get all my stuff. And he's like, when everyone left, he's like, hey, how much for the Dallas Cowboys won? I was like, for you? So,
right. You're like interested in business, right? Learning in like outside of maybe some of the things that you're learning, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, what was the next question?
You're like, next, let's go. No, the question was, do you think that's on purpose? Because you asked the question. What do you think?
I do think it is. I think this world is far more strategically designed than people give credit to. And the whole plan of it is to not have us believe that it is, right? The world could change literally overnight. It can, but these systems are in place. And this is why people call it the Matrix, right? And it's very intricate systems that run this world. Like take poverty. Poverty is fabricated. It's not real. Like we could literally end poverty overnight. It is not real. They created this. They created classes. They created all these ways to divide us and categorize us. And it is strategic. And, it doesn't mean that, there's all these evil people who are trying to do this. No, it's actually a very, very small group. You'd be surprised. And these are the systems that need to change, right? Kids should be learning more art, more dance, more things that's going to make their soul come alive. Like me and my daughter were talking. She just graduated high school. I'm sorry I put you through that, because it did what all school did for me. It actually made me feel stupid. Nothing about school made me feel smart. Having to remember stuff that I do not use to this day. Okay, yeah, maybe up to second grade or whatever, learning to read and to write and then getting that, cool. But where I could have actually went and with all those years and, knowing what I know now, it's like, I would never do that. If I have another kid, I don't know if I'd homeschool, because I haven't done the research of like what that looks like. But man, I'd probably want to open up an entire mystery school. Like what's that show? I forget that show. Harry Potter.
Yeah. No, I'm
like,
kidding.
you can Google right now. Like, this is real. There's a school out there where they teach kids how to use their extrasensory perception. Right. So we have a third eye, literally. People heard of that. These kids are trained. They put blindfolds on, and with blindfolds on, they're given silk, and the silk is all different colors, green, red, blue, and each color has its own vibration. And then with your eyes closed, they'll grab the silk and they'll say, this is red, this is blue, or they'll get cards and they'll put their hand on it and be like, this is a square, this is a circle, right? They can read books with the eyes closed. This is a real thing that exists.
Where is it?
In the UK is one of the main ones.
There's a psychic school in the UK that people go and study at, and like mediums go to.
Yeah, and then people like psychic. Then there's another category, right? You start to get into semantics, because everybody here is some form of, air quotes, psychic, right? So clairvoyant means you can see things, right? Which is what we're talking about now. Clairaudient is you can hear, like I hear my spirit guides. Or clairsentient means you can feel. Real claircognizant means like you just start saying something like, why do you believe that? How do you know that? I don't know. I just know. It's encoded in my DNA, right? They're claircognizant. And then clairsentient, I feel things. I can walk into a room, feel the energy. I can meet somebody, immediately know, everything about them that I need to know, if they're a good person, if this and that. So we all have this. It's not extraordinary. And it's just a matter of like, these are the things they should have taught us how to develop at a younger age. They don't want us that empowered. They don't want us with all, multi-dimensional, multi-sensual beings. They don't want that. They want workers. They want worker bees.
Who are they?
It's a great question. Great question. I'm not trying to get canceled in 2026. 2025 is too rough. Let me have a good year. I need 2026 to be good. Okay. I think every light worker got their ass kicked last year. It was pretty rough.
Yeah. It was intense. It was an intense year, but this is a good year. Yeah. You have to let 2025 go back in. 2025, the portal to it ends February 16th, I believe. 17th. So whatever you're still hanging on to for 2025, kick it in the portal, open it, kick it back into the portal of 2025. This is going to be a great year. Yeah. Okay. So on your handle, you got some alien stuff happening, on your handle. Where are you with the alien connection today? And what are you feeling?
I love this podcast. I'm gonna have to come back. First of all, they don't like being called aliens. They're, realistically, I know this is going to really stretch some people's minds. But I think the timing of me sharing it is ideal, because they're going to see it for themselves. And, I refer to them as star brothers, star sisters. And there's many beings. I guess just start with, we're not alone.
We're not alone.
Yeah, and we never been alone. And I think maybe like way back in the day, if you ask people if they believe in aliens, it'd be like, you sound crazy, right? But I think now where we're at, if you don't believe in some higher intelligence in the multiverse, right? If you don't believe they exist and you think that we're the only intelligent, evolved beings in the multiverse of all the galaxies that exist, I think you got to be crazy to believe that. And I think it's such it's uninspiring. It's small mind thinking. And when we can really open our minds up to like the infinite possibilities, it's a great thing. Now, I don't encourage people to go learn everything they can about, you don't have to, right? I just became infatuated with it. You don't have to, I think it's better to work on yourself, shadow work. I think that's most important. So, but there is a whole, like most people still think, well, they teach in school, right, that Christopher Columbus discovered America. There was people there when he got there. He did not discover America. It's crazy. Like, and if we don't even understand our history, and you go look at a book in China, a history book in China, a history book in all these different countries, it's completely different narratives. History is written by the victors, right? And they control the educations. Then they don't compare. They're different. So if we don't understand world history, how the heck is someone supposed to understand galactic history? I get that. So I walk on eggshells trying to meet people where they're at. But there's absolutely higher beings out there. They're not little gray aliens who want to blast us with their spaceship, right? That's just all Hollywood type stuff. There's many, many, many species. Anything you could think of, it pretty much exists. Because even if you look at the ocean, you know how many species are in the ocean that we've never discovered? And this is on our own planet. Think about all the things that's out there that we haven't discovered. But there are beings that if you were in Whole Foods and they were in line in front or in back of you, you wouldn't know that they were an ET. Very humanoid.
Have you ever seen someone that you're like, something's going on with this person? Because you said you were infatuated with aliens. So have you ever walked around and like seen someone and been like, I recognize them as something else?
Yeah, I think there's hybrids, right? There's hybrids out there and beings you're like, okay, you're definitely not from this planet.
Well, you don't think you're from this planet.
I know I'm not.
So you don't think you're from this planet, meaning you haven't incarnated here many times? You come from a different like system, basically, and this is your first time incarnating here?
No, it's not my first time. I've been here many times. It's not my go-to vacation spot. Earth is, in the cosmos, Earth is looked at as a little ghetto. So the spaceships lock their doors, roll up the windows, and keep driving by Earth.
Oh, there's so many good ones. There's so much good here, though.
No, see, that's the thing, is what I'm saying, that there's so much good here. But let me tell you something. Is there really, like, okay, the planet's beautiful, people are beautiful, but if you look at the average human thoughts, they have about 45,000 thoughts per day. 80% of our thoughts are negative. 20% of our thoughts are positive, right? And then you look at poverty and all these things happen in the world, and it's not all sunshine. And guess what? It's not supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to work just to survive, just to put food on the table for you. Who said that's normal? How do we know how they operate on other planets? Because it's not like this. Nothing about this planet is normal. And I know we were born into this, and I know we don't have anything to compare it to. I get it. But nothing about it is normal. There's so much unnecessary suffering. There's technology out right now that could cure 99% of all diseases.
That is true.
Why don't we have it? Why don't they disclose it? Why don't they release it? It's being suppressed purposely.
Agreed.
Yeah, and you can look at history, and all the people who came out with these amazing patents were killed. Like it's real. I get it. I'm not the doom and gloom type of guy, but I'm a realist, right? I'm a joyful person. I'm a happy person. Even knowing all the crazy things I know, I'm still here because I have a mission. It's not about this or that. It's about solely the mission.
So what is your mission?
spreading the truth is what I'm putting out.
There you go. I asked you that earlier and you were like, well, we're going to have to find out. I'm like, no, say it, because the more you say it, the closer, you keep doing it. And that's a beautiful thing.
And that's another thing is like, my intention isn't to convert anybody to my religion, right? Because I don't have one.
Yeah.
And I respect all religions. Like I was in Jerusalem Christmas morning and watching Galilee where Jesus did his miracles. I meditated under the tree that Buddha got enlightened. I've been to every temple in India. I've been to, the temples in Egypt. Like I love all of it. I just don't want to put myself in a box because I want to continue to learn. I don't want to cut myself off. So, my intention is never to convert anybody or change somebody, but I do have an intention going on podcast, and that is to spark curiosity. If I can spark curiosity, maybe you're not going to agree with 80% of the things that I said. Cool, right? But if there's a few things that I said that's like, really? Okay, let me double click that. Let me go down that rabbit hole. Let me just, research. And then that curiosity is what leads to the enlightenment, right? Curiosity didn't kill the cat, right? Ignorance did. Curiosity is consciousness at work. It's saying, wait, there's something more. I want to know about this, right? It's the pull, it's the draw. And, that's how I started. I got curious.
That's so beautiful. And you're spreading mind expansion. So people want to go there with you and then go, okay, that went too far for me. I'm going to pull it back. It's thought provoking. And so that's what's creating, people to find what they believe and kind of be exposed to more ideas. And that's an amazing thing. And I love that you brought up history as well, because I think that a lot of people are getting their history lessons from a 15 to 30-second video on TikTok. And that's what terrifies me about people today, is that they're going to TikTok University and then they're going out in the street and, chanting slogans and doing things. I love protesting. I've protested throughout my life. I don't protest anymore, but they're not seeing, they think they're seeing through the matrix, but they're not, because they have no context from what they're doing. They saw something, online, it was 15 seconds and they're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? And they don't really know. So the fact that you brought up history, educating yourself, finding true history, right? You said history was written by the victors, totally. But digging and finding what is reality and what isn't. I think that also leads itself to what we're talking about education and mind expansion and making sure you know what the fuck you're talking about.
I think that the key thing that somebody can invite into their life is discernment. That's it.
Critical thinking.
Yeah. Common sense really goes a long way, and using your discernment, because you're going to be presented. There's going to be more things coming out in these next couple of years. It's going to be ridiculous, and it's going to be conflicting information. It's going to be more information available than ever before. And some is going to be true and some's going to be poo. So you really got to use your own discernment. I always say, like, believe, none of what you hear, only half. Wait, what did I say? I mess up my own quote. Believe none of what you hear.
We're in trouble.
No, wait, believe none of what you hear, only half of what they say, but all of what you feel. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really the feeling that you have, right? When something doesn't sit with you, even some of these, quote unquote truths, that I came across in the earlier years. Some of them I rejected and threw away, and then they later came back. And, and then I started realizing, what, just because I don't believe in something or doesn't fit into the constructs of my reality and belief systems, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm just going to put it on a shelf. Okay, you know what? This doesn't resonate with me right now. I'm not saying it's wrong, but let me just put it on the shelf and maybe revisit it when I have another piece of the puzzle. Because we just going through life with these pieces of the puzzle, right? And it's not until this piece goes down in this corner piece that, now let me grab that piece. Now that makes sense. And now you can start to see the bigger picture. So we're just collecting these puzzle pieces, but we can't throw them away because then we never find them again. and just kind of, put things to the side and try to make sense of it.
It's interesting you're talking about things coming out in the next few years because such a message comes through about sharpening your tools, right? So, sharpening your ability to ground, sharpening, like you said, your ability to listen to your intuitive voice. How does this make me feel? Does this feel right? Does this feel wrong? Sharpening those tools. And what's really cool about what you're doing is you're bringing breathwork tools in a powerful way forward so that when we are, being inundated with different things, we can go to the simplest place, which is our own breath, in a powerful way. So that's really, really important, especially if, like you're saying, so many new things are going to be offered up to us to do what we will, right? And that can be really scary if you're already super ungrounded or sad. I think you said sad. Wait.
Okay.
Stress, anxiety, depression. Yes. If you're already, and it's not saying you have to be perfect to get information or none of that. Yeah. But now is such a great time to sharpen your tools, your intuitive tools, your breath work tools with Kurtis. Like right now is such a great time as things are only heating up more and more as we go. Do you agree? Do you concur?
I concur. Yeah. I want to see people, not happy, but it just comfortable in their own bodies. Because I realized what was my issue. I wasn't felt comfortable in my own damn body. And, that's what led me into the somatic practices and whatnot. But people are going through a lot, and I'm really just aware. I never lost touch of the process that I went through. And when I wrote my first book, The World Is Yours, I had to struggle with, okay, I'm writing a book on ascension, spiritual ascension and enlightenment and all that stuff. And I'm just starting out on my spiritual journey. I need to wait until I'm like, more qualified. And then, I realized if I waited till I was a enlightened avatar floating monk, right? The book would have never got out. It would have never became a number one bestseller. It never would have helped as many people. So that was an illusion. And the truth was, the power of that book is when I went from unawakened in my process to awakening, I was writing the book for 5 years. So it actually became the strength and the power of that book because I was in a space where I could relate to people who felt like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like there's something more. I feel like maybe I haven't been given all the truth. I feel like there's something about me that I just need to know. And that deep reflection, is the curiosity that sparks someone's awakening and that encapsulated that. So I never forget, that process that people are in. And I never want to like sound smart and like I know something and completely disconnect. I'd rather be real, right? I'd rather be real than perfect, first and foremost. And I'd rather meet people where they're at and have compassion if they think I'm totally batshit crazy. I get it, because guess what? I'd been thinking I was too. Absolutely. I get it. But, you will get to a space or a point in your life where you realize that there is more. And it's a choice if you want to know those mysteries or not.
So what do you want people to know before we wrap up? Like what, if you could give the thousands of people that listen to this podcast a nugget to help them through today or that they could take with them, what would you say?
It's hard to believe, but we do live in the most historic times in human history. And that most likely you volunteered to be a part of this mission at hand, whether you know your mission or purpose or not. The fact that they're listening to this type of podcast, they're already on the path. And they to come here and to just hold the light. People think they got to do this, they got to do that. No, just being a light worker and holding the light and being a good person and working on yourself. Just working on yourself will do more for the collective, for the planet, than what you could possibly imagine. Don't think you got to go out there and you got to achieve this and achieve that and do this and have that. That's an illusion. Don't fall for that. Just work on knowing thyself. Right? When Neo in the Matrix went to see the Oracle, right, she pointed at a sign above his head, and I think it was like Latin or something like that. And it said, know thyself. Put all your energy and focus on knowing yourself and trying to make yourself better. And by trying, I mean, not trying to fix, because you don't even have to do that. Like, you just have to put your awareness on it. Your awareness will begin to melt. And I think that is something that will serve them well. I do think there's going to be major earth changes happening and crazy things where the people who know what's happening, it's going to be a dream come true. The people who don't know what's happening and have no clue, it's going to look like we're living in a sci-fi movie. And I'll just relate to this quote by Don Alejandro, the great Mayan grandfather. And he said, the very walls that we're about to see come crumbling and crashing down upon us were only the walls that kept us in prison our entire lives. So it's a liberation. And I don't know what people believe in or what your religion is, but all these religions that actually just had all these disagreements, that who went to war and killed each other over indifferences, they're actually all agreeing on something. And that some sort of godly cosmic phenomenon event is upon us. And it's all intersecting at the same point, time and space, which is right here, right now in our lifetime. This one right here. You guys are going to witness it firsthand. And, the Chinese I Ching talks about state zero, the reset, heaven on earth, the golden age. This is what's going to come. And we're going to experience that. There's nothing more magical and more positive to look forward to than what's ahead. It might be a little bit bumpy. That's only because the old systems that kept us enslaved, they need to come crumble and fall apart. And new people, like the light workers who are probably listening to this right now, they're the ones that create the new systems that actually work for us. And I think that's beautiful. And, why am I talking about breath work is because people need tools. We need help. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I could be doing 1,000 different things right now, probably making 10 times more money that I could, but it's my mission to help people. And it makes me feel good, and that's what I chose. And any which way I can help people by writing books, creating modalities, whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And maybe I'll figure out even bigger and more ways to do so. So I just asked them if anything I said, sparked a curiosity, explore that and see where it takes you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. How do we work with you? How do people see what you're doing, connect with you, work with you, etc.?
Yeah. Pray for me. No. They can go on my Instagram if they want to. It's Man from the Stars. Just one word, Man from the Stars. If they're interested in the breath work, you can go to breathworkdetox.com. One word, breathworkdetox.com. And then we have a whole program suite. So we have virtual events that we do every 2 weeks. I do them every new moon. So I do them once a month. And then if you're interested in becoming a teacher, I can give you a free masterclass. We kind of go through everything for you, teach you everything.
Wow.
Yeah, we give you a free copy of my book, How to Thrive in the Age of Anxiety, the Breathwork Detox book. We give you free video training. So there's a bunch of free goodies that you can get if you go on the site.
Wow, that's so great. That's awesome. You guys definitely check him out. Hit his handle, Man from the Stars. I so enjoy talking with you. There's so much more.
Yeah.
There's so much more. Part 2 possibly pending.
Let's check the ratings on number 1, and if it's good, we'll come back.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's get the feedback.
Yeah,
Do
cool.
you like these two people interacting? But it was such a pleasure, and I really appreciate you and what you're putting out in the world. And I'm super interested in checking out Breathwork Detox. So I'm gonna go to your website. And I just appreciate you taking the time. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with me all these years. And I really hope that, something came up today that resonated with you or that made you think or sparked another thought. But hopefully just got to sit in some positive energy and some spiritual energy. But if you took nothing else away from this, I hope you leave this podcast knowing deep in your soul and deep in your heart that you are not alone. God is with you, your angels, your spirit guides, so many more. And I am also with you. I love you. I'm thinking of you. Much more to come. God bless, guys. We'll talk soon.